Ah oui,
Yes.
je vais préciser que Madame Patarissa et Madame Mosco vont parler en anglais, mais elles ont eu la gentillesse de préparer un PowerPoint avec le texte en français. Donc, tout le monde pourra suivre.
I will try to introduce myself in French. So, je suis Agnes Oszko, je suis historienne de l'art et je vis à Budapest. Je travaille au Musée hongroise d'architecture. Je recherche les œuvres de Lipót Baumhorn. Mon professeur est le docteur Rudolf Klein. En collaboration avec Dora Patarica, nous préparons une série d'expositions sur la synagogue de Szeged. Un grand merci à Dora pour la présentation de nos recherches. S'il vous plaît.
Together with Agnes, we are organizing a series of exhibitions. Right now, the exhibition is going on in Murska Sobota in Slovenia and also in Finland. I'm a historian, and we are organizing it. And we are quite a perfect match. And I'm based in Finland at Åbo Academy University in Turku. Next slide, please. I think there must have been another slide before, maybe, on Szeged.
Dóri, kérlek, vedd le a képedet, mert akadozik a hangod, inkább csak beszélj. De szerintem ez az első dia, ez jó lesz.
Igen. Do you want this one or the next one?
I really wonder about that this one is the first. There are all kinds of synagogues of all territory of the previously what was the Kingdom of Hungary. I made this in Nouveau. His style are the synagogues of Timisoara and Szeged. Can you please go back? The Art Nouveau, Hungarian Art Nouveau style in Subotica, what used to be, and also Marcali are synagogues that can be listed under the style Art Nouveau. Novi Sad, Pančevo, and Kunszent Márton in Hungary. Next slide, please. As Professor Neumann has pointed in his presentation, Lipót Baumhorn was the most prolific synagogue architect of his time. And here you can see a map on which you can see the most important of his life. Next one, please.
Dora?
Yes.
The
Szeged Jewish, yes. The Szeged Jewish community decided to announce a competition for the design of the new synagogue in 1898. And actually, the Szeged Jewish community even had to beg Baumhorn to submit an application. He refused it twice because he was busy with another application. But in the end, they could convince him to submit it. And he also won the first prize with his application under the code word God and Homeland. Here you can see his application. The next slide, please. I would like to show you the synagogue if the video is ready to start. It's a 1-minute video on the synagogue. No music, unfortunately, so I can give you some information in the meanwhile. The height of the synagogue is 48.5 meters. It's the 4th biggest synagogue in Europe and the 2nd biggest in Hungary. The biggest one is in Dohány Street in Budapest, which by size can be compared to that one in New York. And it's, as you can see, there are lots of different styles visible in the synagogue. Thank you. This synagogue is the most ornate building designed by Lipót Baumhorn, and the ideological message of this synagogue was formulated by scientist and chief rabbi Immanuel Löw, who was the chief rabbi of Szeged for over 70 years. The next slide, please.
Sorry.
The purpose of the Szeged synagogue's interior decoration was to convey the confession of the community and to present the parts of the Hebrew Bible. The decoration program was developed by Chief Rabbi Immanuel Löw, who was also a botanist. It's a neolog synagogue, so you can see that the bima is in the front. There is place for the choir. There is even an organ. The women's gallery is not covered with a dense grid. They spoke in, and to this day they speak in Hungarian in the synagogue. Löw used to wear something, clothes that were very similar to the clothes of priests, and the synagogue also has a tower which would be forbidden in Orthodoxy. The next slide, please. The new synagogue was inaugurated in 1903, May 19th, so 2 days ago there was the anniversary, and the inauguration took place exactly 60 years after the inauguration of the previous synagogue, which is there to this day. On this picture on the left-hand side, you can see the dome of the new synagogue behind the building of the old synagogue, which is a classicist building. And nowadays it's used as a theater because the Szeged Jewish community could not maintain it. And in 1977, they had to give it over to the city. Next slide, please. The building can accommodate 700 men and 640 women. And here you can see a picture from the outside. Next slide, please. It has a central form, and due to the women's galleries, it has a longitudinal effect. Next one, please. The synagogue has a Byzantine style, according to the classification of Professor Klein. And again, here you can see the towers. The next slide, please. Unfortunately, there is no detailed description of the synagogue garden, but it was part of the concept, and I don't really know of any other synagogue that's surrounded by a garden. and we have to use alternative sources to reconstruct what it once looked like. There is this detailed map of the garden on the right-hand side, which unfortunately is very not too easy to read out. But when there was the reconstruction of the exterior reconstruction of the building of the synagogue and also the reconstruction of the garden, Ferenc Dávid was able to reconstruct more or less the plants that were once used in the garden. And Immanuel Löw, who I said was a botanist, he planted 20 cedar trees in the middle of the garden as a symbol of Judaism and Eretz Israel. And in his synagogue garden, he used all kinds of plants, partly from Eretz Israel, as a reference to the homeland of Jews, but also local Hungarian plants. Next slide, please. Löw made sketches for the inscriptions on the synagogue ceiling, and these have survived in the community's archives. Above the 4 pillars, there are 4 inscriptions in Hebrew, the cornerstones of the Jewish religion's ethics: Torah, work, and charity. Colorful painted plants symbolize the 4 parts of the Hebrew Bible on the building's 4 corner ceilings. And here, in the middle of the proscenium, you can see the bilingual text, "Love your neighbor as yourself," in Hungarian and in Hebrew, which and this is the first synagogue wall inscription in Hungarian language. Again, this is a very rare thing, but Immanuel Löw made sure that the main message of Judaism, as he interpreted it is written with huge letters on the main spot of the building.